Hello there. Once again, Santon from Antonio Bay, and it's early on a Sunday, so that must mean it's time to fill a short box with stuff we pulled out of a long box. That's what I'm doing this morning. And we are starting off with, I love Gen 13, but the bootleg series, I was never that into as much. I don't think it was quite as good. But I do love Gen 13, so I have quite a few of them. That's not a bad cover anyway. Just a little bit of glare off my lamp. Oh, so Gen 13 bootleg. And, ooh, a weird piece. This is the Gen 13. In case you don't know about Gen 13, there were 3 separate issues made. Not just 3 different covers, 3 different issues. And this is a amalgamation. They put all of them together. And of comics stuck to the back. So they had 3 complete, different issues with different stuff going on. If I remember right, that's how this worked. And it was pretty cool. I liked it. So this is a little bitty assortment of all 3 of those. And the whole issue was just run-ins with different comic book characters as Grunge was having a weird dream. So it was interesting. Stuck to the back of it, for some reason, was Harrier Comics, Second City, which I do not recall anything about, but it has cool black and white art. It's the embossed cover of Catwoman #1. This is my favorite version of Catwoman. I think it probably should just be everyone's favorite version of Catwoman. This is 90s Catwoman with the big black hair and the purple suit, and she was very curvy, and I think it's the best. To me, it's the best version of Catwoman. That was what was popular when I got into comics, and I thought it looked way better than the Batman Returns, Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman, which I was never as big a fan of that sleek black look. I kind of liked the purple look. Speaking of the purple look, Archie Comics Darkling #1, which I remember buying just because it looked cool and looked like a cool art cover, and it's Archie and everything like that. And it was actually a big disappointment, as with most new Archies are, and it of course it had to be centered around some sort of lesbian thing. Yeah, I was just write a comic, guys. Freaking message. First jolting issues of Shock suspense stories. I think it's a reprint, obviously, but it is in fantastic shape. I was super happy to find that. I remember when I found it. Baby Angel X, or Baby X Angel, by Brainstorm Comics. This is one I found at my local comic book store that I just kind of popped on for no reason. Damage Control, which is a Marvel mini-series, but it's a team about people who just go around. I think they're either lawyers or whatever, and they defend all the violence and broken stuff of the city. A reprint from Dark Horse of the first Magnus Robot Fighter, which if you look back at the old Magnus Robot Fighter comics, they had really great covers. I just really liked it. Malibu Comics Arrow #1. Malibu Comics Man of War #1. I like Malibu Comics, but I tend to really just like the the Ultraverse. Their other stuff did not speak to me that well, unless you're considering the X Mutants. Then I liked that. Random issue of Thor with Mephisto. We got an Astonishing X-Men #9 and a Gen 13 bootleg #7. Well, this is a random box. Bootleg #17. Bootleg 16. Looks like a pretty good run of bootlegs. I could probably piece, if I slide them all together, there's probably most of a set here. Gen 13 annual. So I remember trying to fill in like the first 50 issues of Gen 13, and I bought a couple of lots, and then I get like extra stuff, like, oh, it's just a lot of Gen 13, but like only half of it's what I wanted, and everything else was like one shots or Gen 12 or like this, like Ordinary Heroes, one of their mini series is, or like the Unreal World. And then a few would have like issue 40, 46 there that I actually was trying to get and wanted. And I don't know that I ever finished that run. I got close, but now I just have kind of like a blur of Gen 13 stuff laying around. I got bootleg number 13. Bootleg number 12, which actually has the best cover of all of them. The big rock hand, or probably the big gorilla hand. Nah, it's a rock hand. And the damsel in distress thing. This is a fantastic cover. I like that. Bootleg 1 of 2 miniseries. It's issue number 11. Bootleg number 8, 1 of 3. And this is, when I talk about Gen 13, I hate the dumb anime covers they went with. That is not at all, oh God, it is. Normally it's just on the cover and it's not on the inside. That's on the inside, so that's wonderful. Champions number 1. Just one random. Mystique, 4 out of 5. Cool cover. Storm, issue number 2. Boy, this was a random pile. Storm number 3. Uncanny X-Men 284. I loved this era. It pains me so much that I no longer have it. I had so many. I had like from issue 170 something clear to issue like 500. It was unreal. And sold them all. I don't know why you would make this. It's a reprint of Bishop 2. Those aren't hard to get or are expensive, so I don't know why you would bother to reprint that. Wolverine Legacies number 1. Past my time. Uncanny X-Men 279. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this box. I mean, it's like just everything. Wolverine 45. X-Men Classics number 2. Oh, look, it's Uncanny X-Men 433, the Draco. This is one of the worst errors ever. So like that year, that couple of years around this time, unreadable, absolutely unreadable, terrible garbage. I hated that. That drove me completely away from the X-Men. That whole everything that was going on. Pick a year, either side of that. First appearance of Bishop. It's a reprint. I actually still have the original. It's not that desirable. They kind of ruined the character later on, but he was originally really cool. Uncanny X-Men Disassembled. Uncanny X-Men number... I'm sure that's number 10. I don't know how they count stuff anymore. Also, this is another strange one to me. Why would you reprint X-Men number 1? It is literally the most common comic ever made. Why would you need to reprint that? I don't feel like that's necessary. Spellbound number 2. I could have swore I had a full run of Spellbound somewhere. Number 3. Issue 4. 5, and this is the sad part, is I've got issue 6, which means somewhere along the lines, issue 1 got moved or stuck to something else and completely disappeared. It is in another box somewhere, and I hate that. Uncanny X-Men 196. That's a pretty cool cover. Regular X-Men 34. It's got Tusk on there. I love Tusk. He's one of the best Toy Biz figures they ever made. He's only 4 POI, but like a guy jumps out of his back and everything. It's great. Ultimate X-Men, which I just remember hating everything that came from the Ultimate series. Like it was awful. Like, yeah. Great art. Awful. Issue 25. Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, number 2. Great series, but you will know that I can't look at it or bring it up without mentioning how much I hate the art. Wolverine, a Marvel Comics Civil War 45. I don't know. I was not reading at this point. And I never did go back and read this stuff because it's not my era of comic books. X-Men 207. World of Metropolis, number 1. Now we're looking at when comics were comics. I don't know. I'd rather have endless piles of these than 99% of the modern stuff. Lester Girls from Eternity Comics, issue number 1. 2, 3, and I think that's all they had. And then for some reason in this box of rando stuff, I have my Cat Claw, or one of my Cat Claw comics, number 1, number 2, 3. So I've noticed when it comes to hard to find comics, sometimes you wind up with way more of them because you're like, oh, there's a lot of that, and there's like 10 or 15 in there, but I only need like 2 of them. But just buy that lot. It's cheaper than buying them individually, even still. And then you still have tons of them. So you end up with like multiple sets of the ultra rare book. Issue number 6. Issue 7. 8. And 9. I think that's a full set. I think it was 9 issues. I think this is an extra set I have. Another number 2. Another number 3. Another number 4. A 5. Unbagged this time. A 6. A 7. And 8. And that's it. And then it stops those. And what do we have? We have... So we have a copy of Cinnamon number 1. Cinnamon 2. I don't remember these. Cinnamon number 3. 4. This is from a company called Catfish Comics. So number 5. We got the weirdness that is leather and lace. A very odd title indeed from Aircel. Got a couple issues of that. Yeah, it is. Weird little comic. Don't know what to say about them. They're kind of one of those, I don't know what you'd call them. They're gross, kind of weird. Very strangely animated. and just, what do you say about those? Those are odd comics. Did not realize those are here. Didn't know I had those. Original E-Man number 2. Number 4, good cover. Issue number 5. 23. I didn't realize how long that series ran. So another book that I grab them whenever I see them, but they're hard to like quantify for me. It was Star Slayer, The Log of the Jolly Roger. So whenever I see these, I do try and pick them up to eventually kind of piece together an assortment of them. They have great covers, interesting art, space pirate themes, all that good stuff. Looks like I got a pretty good nest of them. I did a video on these a while back that nobody seemed to really care for at all, but it is Batman Fortnite 0 Point, and if you like Fortnite at all, they're pretty interesting to read. Like, you would probably get a kick out of them. More weirdness from Aircel. This is Elf Lord. Less mature themed than the others, but definitely a weird little comic. Sorry, dogs. Same art style, and that's one thing that I find with Aircel. So much of it looks like it was done by the same guy, and it's all this weird, scrawny, elfish type stuff. Some of it I really like. Some of it is really creepy. Like, I don't know, like kind of fetishy or something. I don't know. It's some of it's okay. Some of it's just really weird. But all of it is interesting. Yeah, look at these creepy little guys. Got way too much of that kind of thing going on. That's a cool cover, though. It amazes me sometimes how this stuff gets in a box. Oh, okay, so story time. I know we're a long ways into a video for a story, but my wife and I, we just bought a minivan. We went up to a town called Ruidoso to buy this minivan. And Ruidoso last summer had a lot of fires, and because the fires, it's a mountain town, so when it washed out, like after the fires, we had rain, and they had terrible mudslides because of all the forest that was gone, and flooded a bunch of the town. Well, I kind of forgot about this. When we went up to get the minivan, we were going to stop at this big flea market that I know of that has, I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of comics in it. Old stuff, good stuff, all over it, thousands of comics. And he had them all sitting on the floor. You can already see where the story is going. Pulled up there and saw that the floodwaters had come through that entire store about 4 foot deep, 5 foot deep, and blown out the other side of it. And I'll bet you every one of them comics is completely destroyed. Like, it broke my heart because I saw it and I was like, oh crap, all the comics. Never heard of this one. So, sad times to think of, you know, early Copper, a lot of Silver Age, maybe a few issues of well, there was no golden age, but a lot of silver and a lot of bronze, all completely wiped out. Like thousands and thousands of really nice vintage issues of all sorts of things from the 60s and 70s. It was a real bummer to see. I wanted to share that. I think of all the times I've gone there and bought stuff, and the stuff that I didn't buy, and the stuff that I was like, I'll get it next time. And it just kind of bummed me out to see that much inventory ruined. A free comic book day. Lame. Whatever that is. I like that. Will Eisner's The Spirit. So yeah, sometimes I think about the comics that I've had that I lost or sold, but at least I know that they're like still in existence. It was just really sad to see them like gone. Big thick issue of Runaways. Judge Dredd, The New Look. Terranauts. This is the box of Odd. It's just everything. Yeah. I know it happens, but I was always impressed that in this small little mountain town in New Mexico, that there was a place that this guy had this many vintage comics anyway. And I was like, how did they all wind up here? And I'd bought a lot of them from him from he had like a storage unit and he'd sell them out of there, the cheaper ones, and then he had like the really good ones all in this flea market. And yeah, wiped him clean. I remember getting this box of comics. This is all like newer stuff, and I remember getting it thinking I didn't care about it when I got it the first time. Yeah, it's all like modern stuff tucked in the back of this, which I have no interest in. Like, none of this looks good to me. Like, this is what I don't like about comics, is that look. Dean Koontz, Shaman's Tears, some sort of rocket thing, The Program, Sleepy Hollow, Red Prophet. They just have this like kind of boring live action color palette to them. Anything with Garth Ennis I would probably just chuck in the dumpster. Peter Panzerfaust, Faust. Yeah, I remember getting these thinking, wow, these blow. I think they were in a random lot that I bought, and it was like, oh, it's like 100 comics for $30 or something like that. And like literally half of it I didn't want. So it wasn't that good of a deal. Yeah, and that's what it all is. Like the whole back of this is books that I have no desire to even own. Why couldn't these be the ones that got flooded and washed away? The world doesn't need these. But that does remind me of thinking about like comics nobody wants. I heard stories about times where they actually used a whole bunch of like Image comics from the 90s and excessive piles of Malibu and things like that. And they would pack houses full of them, and then they'd burn them for fire departments to like practice on, because there were so many of them and no one wanted them, and there's like no market for them. And even those are better than those. That is a full long box, by the way, in case you're wondering. Put the lid on. I hear my son crying from the other room. I'm going to probably go check on him and his mother. And it's been a stressful Sunday already. Somebody hit my wife's car while it was parked in the street. Forgot that there's a potluck that I have to go make a bunch of food for. I got things to do. But this is early, and I needed this time, and hopefully you needed this time too, just to zone out, think about comics and how much we love and or hate them for a while. And I hope you have a good week. That's my story. Take it easy.